Today we have our friends from Sweden, belong to Lutheran Church, our next door church. So we have been working here for so many years. This church and this temple, we never had any conflict or any misunderstanding, but support each other. I can give 2-3 incidents. Many years ago, when I was sleeping at midnight, I heard telephone is ringing. So I went to the telephone, then heard, this is your neighbor, Lutheran Church. I saw some boys running over the wall. Please be aware of it. So we opened the door and found out 3 boys have entered into the compound and again ran away. So they have seen this and informed us. Another occasion, they have organized a function and found out they haven't got enough chairs and tables, and come and ask whether they can borrow some chairs and tables from the temple. I say, why not? Again they organized a seminar. This is nearly 20 years ago, from all over the country, but they could not provide enough accommodation for them. Asked whether we can accommodate them in the temple. I said, no problem. So we have accommodated about 10 of them in our temple for a few days. This is our understanding between this church and the temple. If other churches and temples also can, what you call work with mutual understanding, I think there won't be any conflicts or argument or jealousy or hatred or enmity. We can practice our religion without any discrimination. Tonight I had to change my subject. Instead of continuing Dhammapada, we have been following one particular text. So today I stopped that for your sake, because I think very seldom you get the chance to listen to a Buddhist talk, isn't it? In Sweden there are some temples, isn't it? Let it be anything. I would like to give the clear picture of Buddhism without hiding anything or without speaking as a hypocrite, just to pander you. Just to tell you what Buddhism is, where Buddhism stands. First and foremost, I would like to mention, Buddhism does not recognize that world or the living beings were created by a God. Does not recognize. Therefore, Buddhists are not very particular about Creator God. When this question was put to the Buddha, that is about the God, simple G, not capital G, gods, whether gods appear or not, the Buddha has given an answer in this way. Have you got anything to prove that gods do not exist? This is the Buddha's attitude. Therefore, we cannot say that Buddhists do not believe in God. On the other hand, the Buddha's advice is, whether the God exists or not, it is your duty to attend to your activities and without neglecting, without depending on others. A parable is given for this. Praying to God, belief in God is very good, very important. Because Anatole France, a French scholar, says, if God does not exist, somehow or the other we have to create a God. Because the concept of God is very important for human mind, because fear, insecurity, suspicion, unsatisfactoriness, imaginations disturb the human mind. When that concept of God is there, they can get rid of these problems. So in that sense, whether God exists or not, the concept is important to many people. That is what Anatole France says. On the other hand, 45 years teachings of the Buddha, we cannot find where the Buddha mentioned that there is no God. He never uttered that word, there is no God. So his advice is, whether the God exists or not, you had to do your duty. The parable is belief in God, praying to God for your protection is very important. But don't forget to lock the door when you go out at night time. There is no guarantee that God will look after your house until you come back. That is Buddhism. That means you must know how to look after your duties and responsibilities. If God exists, God will bless you. If God does not exist, you never lose. So that is the first item, very frankly, I have to tell you. Then the second item is eternal soul, or the first cause. In Buddhism, there is no such thing as soul, S-O-U-L, soul, or the first cause. The yeast of Buddhism is anicca, dukkha, anatta. Impermanency in everything, friction and clashes or unsatisfactoriness in everything, and unsubstantiality. That means there is no such thing as permanent entity to remain in the end. This is called three characteristics in the Buddha's teaching. Everything is going on, changing. Impermanence is there. While existing, there will be clashes, friction, calamities, and sufferings, unsatisfactoriness. Even in the elements, or the matters, or the plant life, or living beings, we can find this friction. So when we analyze, there is nothing to remain as eternal soul, or the first cause. Scientific analysis given by Albert Einstein, he says, when we analyze the whole world, or the whole universe, there is nothing to remain as an entity, but only vibrations or waves. This is scientific interpretation. So the Buddha has mentioned earlier that there is nothing to remain as permanent entity. Everything is going on changing. So these three characteristics. So we don't believe that there is a first cause, because when we take something as cause, that cause creates effect. Later, that effect becomes the cause and produce another effect. Then go on like this, cause and effect are interrelated. There is nobody in this world who can say, this is the first cause. Of course, very easy for us to say, God is the first cause. Then the people ask, then how did that God appear? There must be a cause for that God also to appear. These are the arguments. So, first cause is not the important thing. One of the disciples of the Buddha, a monk, came and asked the Buddha, "Can you tell me, what is the beginning of this life? What is the beginning of this world?" Buddha did not give the answer. By knowing his mentality, then he said, "If you are not going to give answer to my question, I am going to disrobe and go back." Then the Buddha asked, "Did I promise you that I will tell you the beginning of the world or the beginning of life when you want to become a monk?" No. In that case, why do you want to challenge in this way? Then the Buddha said, "Assume someone come and shoot you an arrow, because no bullet at that time. Then you are suffering, the arrow is here. When someone comes to help you to take out the arrow and apply some medicines, you say, no, you cannot take it out unless you tell me who shot this arrow. Whether he is an Indian or European, I want to know the details. Who shot this? Meanwhile, you may kick the bucket. Your duty is allow people to treat your wound and to cure your sickness. Therefore, it is not important for you to know what is the beginning of this world, what is the beginning of this life, for you to get rid of your suffering, your unsatisfactoriness. You have to start from today onward. This is the Buddha's way. Then, next item, according to the Buddha's teaching, there are no such thing as reward or punishment from the God, or from the God or from the Buddha. Action creates a reaction, cause and effect. In between this cause and effect, there is no God, there is no devil. Our action creates a reaction. Good begets good, bad begets bad. Cause and effect. So, it is not necessary to have another person to handle this case. Our karmic energy, mental energy, cosmic energy, all these energies combine together. Then the reaction or the effect we experience according to the nature, the degrees of our action. If it is wicked or cruel, dangerous, harmful, miserable, then we experience the bad effect. If the action is good, very compassionate, and very loving, very understanding, very cooperative, then the action becomes a good one. Now this is the worldly conditions. This is called universal law. This law is not created by God or the Buddha. That universal law exists forever. No one can create, no one can destroy that law. The world exists, living being exists because of this universal law. Then you can ask, who created this universal law? And the answer is God created. Then who created God? There is no answer. That is why many people keep quiet without asking this question. Next one, eternal hell and eternal heaven. This is a very interesting subject. In fact, according to the teachings of the Buddha, there is no one particular area where hell is located. There is no particular area where heaven is located. Where there are living beings, they experience heavenly bliss and so-called hellfire also. Here in this world, living beings experience both. They are in hell, many of them. Some others are in heaven. And this is not the only planet where living beings exist. In certain other planets, the life can become more miserable, more suffering. We can regard this as hell. In certain other planets, living beings experience more pleasure, more happiness, lead a more peaceful life. Then we can regard this as heaven. But not one particular area created by God or created by Buddha as hell for people to suffer. On the other hand, eternal punishment for a minor mistake is very unreasonable. Julius Huxley, a British scholar, he said, he referred to God. God has given only one chance for human being. Within that short period, human beings can make mistake. Because of such minor mistake, it is justifiable to send the man to hell to suffer forever. Why not God give him another chance, at least 2-3 times, to be perfect, to be good? Therefore, it is very unreasonable, not justifiable, if God can condemn people into eternal hell just because they make a simple mistake. This is the way how thinkers analyze. There was another scholar, a writer in America, the end of 18th century. His name is Ingersoll. He says he is willing to go to hell rather than going to heaven. The reason is all the intellectuals who did not believe in God, including the Buddha, all are in hell. Because they did not believe in God, so God condemned them to eternal hell. They are suffering there. Now if I go to hell, I can meet those intellectuals. I can have a nice time there with them. But heaven is only good for playboys, not for me. See the way how they analyze certain beliefs that people maintain. And they have no particular religion. Like Bertrand Russell's and Bernard Shaw's, what they say is about religion. But we had to think, open our mind. We should not be so orthodox and religious fanatics to uphold certain belief when scientists, psychologists, great thinkers, philosophers, rationalists have condemned not only in one particular religion, even in Buddhism. Buddhism means in the Buddhist literature, how many things are there that intellectuals can condemn? Don't think everything what is written in Buddhist books are correct. There are a lot of distortion, misinterpretation done by the disciples from time to time. In every other religions also, we can see such weaknesses. We had to use our common sense to understand things unbiasedly. We should not think, oh, it is in our religion, therefore we must protect, we must observe, we must believe, by ridiculing other religions. That attitude is wrong. So this warning was given by the Buddha. Don't accept anything that I taught you, thinking the Buddha is a great man. That means you depend on that person without understanding, without realizing. So, Buddhist concept of heaven and hell is entirely different. The Buddha has very clearly mentioned, only foolish people believe, he used this word, only foolish people believe that hell is located under this earth or under the great ocean. Why people use the word hell? Suffering from the very beginning up to the end of life without any interval. That is called hell. Now we have interval. Although we suffer, we have time to laugh and joke and enjoy and pleasant life, few minutes or few hours or few days or few months. But in certain areas, those living beings have no interval from the birth up to the last breath. The whole life is nothing but suffering. That is called hell from the Buddhist point of view. Now we are not in hell, although we suffer, because we have time to relax and laugh. Then heaven. Very rich man one day came to see the Buddha and told him, we have no time to meditate and practice religion to be perfect. Even then we like to go to heaven after our death. Can you please tell me how to do that? Then the Buddha said, why do you want to wait until you die to experience heavenly bliss? You can experience heavenly bliss while you are here in this world, if you know how to handle your life properly. No need to wait until you die. So according to the Buddha, heaven and hell both exist here in this world, but not only here in this particular planet where there are living beings. There also we can find heaven and hell. Therefore, hell and heaven both were not created by God or Buddhas or any other person. Natural sufferings, natural enjoyment, we interpret as heaven and hell. Next point is forgiveness of sins, pardons. After committing certain evil deeds, wicked deeds, harming others, we come and confess, asking God or asking the Buddha to forgive. And next week also again, they go and ask forgiveness after committing the same thing. Now they are not scared to do evil deed. They believe there is someone to forgive them every time. Indirectly encourage people to do more and more bad things because they believe there is someone to forgive their sin. Therefore Buddhism never accepts this belief that there is someone who can forgive our sin. The Buddha says, I cannot forgive your sin. There is no God who can forgive your sin. Suddhi asuddhi pacchattam nanya manya visodhaye. These are the sayings of the Buddha. The purity and impurity of the mind remain individually. Another person has no right to interfere with this, to cleanse our life from the sin or to make us sinners. Others cannot do. According to our way of thinking, our way of talking, our way of doing things, these three things are responsible for us to become sinner or for us to become perfect living being. So forgiveness of sin is not acceptable to Buddhists. But the method taught by the Buddha for us to overcome our bad karma, we use the word karma. Good karma, bad karma. Bad karma means sin. Good karma means merit, good merit. When we realize that we have been committing evil deeds, then we make up our mind not to repeat, not to do that again. That is the first stage. After that, try to do more and more good deeds, more and more religious services, to support others, help others, to release their suffering, do some service to others. Go on accumulating as much as possible. Meanwhile, try to reduce anger, jealousy, grudge, ill will, evil thought, selfishness, these evil thoughts from the mind. Now the mental energy, karmic energy, life processes have become very energetic, very dynamic, and overcome the bad effect of the evil deed that you have committed. That means, if there is anybody in this world who can forgive our sin, we are the only one who can do that. I cannot forgive your sin. You cannot forgive my sin. But individually we can do by following this method. What is the method? First thing, stop repeating the same evil deed. Second stage, do more and more service to others. Third stage, try to maintain healthy mind, some sort of purity in your mind. And these three kind of energies help you to overcome the bad effect of the bad deed that you have committed. Not by worshipping and praying to any god or any Buddhas. It doesn't work. Another thing, praying to God for our salvation. Every religion tries to monopolize salvation. They say must go through their religion, otherwise no salvation. Christian says Jesus is the only one. Must go through Jesus, otherwise there is no salvation. Muslim says Allah is the only God. If you cannot go through Allah, you have no salvation. Hindu religion says, I can quote in Sanskrit language, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekang saranang vraja. Krishna, the God, says, give up all the other beliefs and other religions. Mamekang saranang vraja. Take refuge in me. Then only you can find salvation. That is Hinduism. In the Buddha's teaching, we cannot find such statement. Buddha has never said, you must go through me to find out your salvation. Otherwise, you have no salvation. You cannot find this in the Buddha's teaching. But in the Buddhist literature, just now I mentioned, it is mentioned, Natti me saranang anyang, buddho me saranang varan. I do not take refuge in any other teachers or any other masters, any other gurus. Buddho me saranang varan. I take refuge only in the Buddha. But this is not the Buddha's saying. Disciples have written these things in the Buddhist literature. So in simple language, what I am going to tell you, Buddhists do not believe, according to the teachings of the Buddha, that Buddhists are the only people who can go to heaven according to their language, heaven. Here we take for salvation. But when we analyze the Buddha's teaching, we can understand. According to him, the follower of any religion in this world can go to heaven, can find out salvation. Even those who have no religion also, if they lead a gentle, noble, respectable life, they also get the chance. Religious label is not the important thing here. Gentleness, honesty, kindness, compassion, and all the activities that we cultivate without any ulterior motive, without selfishness. So we can say the follower of any religion can find out salvation if they really practice or lead a noble religious way of life. Because religious people are harmless people. They are honest people. They are kind and understanding people. All these good qualities were not created by God, not created by Buddha. According to our experience, our understanding, we cultivated these good qualities as humanism at the beginning, cultivated as humane qualities. Then we lived in harmony with mutual understanding by fulfilling our duties and responsibilities, and without bluffing, swindling, cheating, harming others, without destroying, killing others, according to our own experience. So we have cultivated humanism up to that maximum level. Meanwhile, we also developed the concept of God. After developing and developing that concept, they have personified, transformed into a figure as God. Then people invited the God into humanism. Then the God occupied that humanism. Then turned into religion. The word religion started from there. Earlier there was no God, concept of God. So it is not that God has given us a religion. We cultivated, developed, and invited the God to come and occupy it. Because the concept of God is very important to people. So this is the way how people analyze these things today. When we give up our religious fanaticism and orthodoxy and narrow-mindedness, we can come to this conclusion: how religion come into existence, and later how they have innovated. Now let us take Buddhism. 2,500 years ago, the Buddha lived, preached, but up to this day, how many new Buddhas, new Bodhisattvas people have created? That is their own production. People produce Buddhas, people create Bodhisattvas, to introduce Buddhism. They have no history, they have no background, they are only concept, only belief. But to them this is very important. They give a lot of consolation, satisfaction, protection, guidance. In every religion, these changes from time to time take place. Later, they have been practicing entirely a different method, different system, according to their way of thinking. They have forgotten what the founders of this religion has taught. We have incorporated so many new ideas, concepts and beliefs and traditions and customs and rites and rituals and ceremonies into religion. Now when you refer to the Buddha, all these rites, rituals, ceremonies, offerings, prayers, worshipping, they are not important. He did not say you should not do all these things, but not very important. So what he wanted was for human beings to live as cultured, civilized, understanding gentlemen. They can stand firmly. It is not necessary for them to become slaves to their religion. It is not necessary for them to suffer, torture their body because of their religion. They can lead a normal life without suffering. This is the method introduced by the Buddha for us to practice a religious way of life. But today, we have incorporated so many methods and systems and ideas into this religion. When we refer to other religions also, the same situation. Origin of life and the origin of the world. Our holy book says, the world was created by God on such and such time. It has taken 7 days for God to create. But many others are not ready to accept this. First and foremost, people ask, why is it necessary for God to create? For what purpose? Because of His creation, all His creatures are crying and worrying and lamenting and cursing and accusing and blaming and suffering. If He kept quiet, there is nobody to suffer. A Hindu poet composed a nice poem in Hindi language. He says, we were taught that God created us. Yes. We can understand because of His creation how we are suffering today. If we kept quiet without creating, we do not suffer like this. In spite of all these things, they also ask us to worship Him. I really cannot understand why we should worship Him. Because we are suffering in this world because of creation. How people analyze this creation? Because all are not ready to say yes. There are some people who want to know why. Now let us take the beginning of this world. What Christianity says, what Islam says, what Buddhism says, what Hinduism says. These 4 religions. Christianity and Islam come from the same origin. They also believe Adam and Eve were created by the God. Then they say God created forbidden fruit and advised them not to eat. Meanwhile, the snake appeared. I have told you, a joker has said recently, if Adam and Eve were Chinese, first they roll up the snake, not the forbidden fruit. Then we will be free from the original sin. Unfortunately, they were not Chinese. Just because of that, we have become sinners. Temptation was created by the devil for them to eat the forbidden fruit. All right? Now, God created them at the beginning to remain forever, eternal life. No sickness, no old age, no death, no suffering. Just because of that original sin, the whole mankind is suffering today. What about animals? Animals also have old age, sicknesses, death and suffering. I don't think they have taken forbidden fruit. Animals. What about the plant life? Plant life also suffer from sicknesses, old age and death. Do you think it is due to original sin? We have to analyze in this way. Now the similarity between Buddhist concept and the Christians or Muslim concept. They say devil created temptation to eat forbidden food. Buddhism says when the destructions have taken place, there are 4 periods. The whole universe. Existing period, decaying period, and disappearance, empty. 4 periods. Whole universe, but not at once. If anything come into existence, it is due to the combinations of elements or energies. This bundle cannot remain forever without changing, without disintegrating, without dissolving. So this world now exists. We don't feel. It's going on decaying. How many 100,000 or how many millions of years, we do not know. It is decaying. No one can stop it. It's not created by anybody to do that. Then, after that, disappear. This particular globe, we talk only about this. What about others? Galaxies, how many millions and millions of galaxies are there where there are some living beings? So when this one is completely disappeared, all the living beings again exist in some of other planets where there are living beings. After a long period, those dispersed particles, they have magnetic power, again started to combine. That combination supported to form this earth or this globe, this planet again. Then the atmosphere is ready for life to exist. 2 devas from those heavenly life, they do exist. They are not creator God. having seen this particular island or this earth come down, when they came down, they had a very tempting aroma from the earth. So they wanted to test. Wonderful taste. Then the hidden craving that they have been controlling aroused. And that craving become the cause for them to suffer again and again and again. You can see the similarity now. Christianity also says the temptation, craving created by the devil, but Buddhism never says devil created that. It is in their own mind, but subdued, suppressed. So according to the Buddha, there is neither beginning nor end of this universe. When one section disappears, many other parts of the universe remain. He says there are thousands of suns, thousands of moons. People laugh at that time because they could not understand. Today, astronomers say definitely there are so many suns, so many moons, and so many millions and billions of world systems. Not only one universe, there are many universes. There are living beings, not in every planet. So, there is neither beginning nor end. When destruction takes place, dispersed particles again come and join together. The life, when disappear from here, reappear from somewhere else. Just like setting sun here in this country may become the rising sun in your country. Same sun. Here disappeared, but reappear in another country. So the death is not the end of life, because craving for existence, craving for pleasure, selfishness, all these mental energies support, the karmic energies support, cosmic energies support, then existence again takes place. This is the interpretation given by the Buddha. So, he says it is utter wastage if we try to find out the beginning of our life and beginning of this universe or the world. Ending means beginning. Then that beginning will be ended later. This is a circle. Then how to find out the beginning? There is no beginning, there is no end. World cycles, life cycles, always turning like this. Those who don't like to suffer in this way, then the method taught by the Buddha. Not by worshipping, not by praying, not by performing rite and rituals and ceremonies, not by offering all sort of things, not by animal sacrificing, not by suffering, torturing your physical body, but by cultivating your life, your moral conduct, your behavior, the purity in your mind, by eradicating all the evil forces from your mind. Then you will find out your salvation. So Buddhists do not depend on another person, either the God or the Buddha, to gain their salvation. The Buddha very clearly said, Tumbhehi kichchang atappan akkhataro tathagata. The Buddhas can tell you what to do to find out your salvation, but you have to do that. Don't wait until another person do for that. Another person cannot do that for you. So your duty is to use your effort and knowledge and energy if you don't like to suffer. Simply by worshipping to another person, you cannot see the end of your suffering. Because they have no right, they have no jurisdiction to handle your life. Because you are responsible for your life. Before Buddhism came into existence, people had different kinds of belief. Just now I mentioned the concept of these four religions about their salvation. Beginning of the world, how we differ. Christian says, for your salvation you must go through Jesus. Muslim says you must go through Allah. Hindus say you must take refuge in Hindu God, otherwise there is no salvation. The Buddha never said you must go through the Buddha, otherwise there is no salvation. Now it is clear. Origin of the world, Christianity and Islam, God created within 1 week world and the living beings and everything. Hinduism says, it is scientific. Hindu concept of creations of this world is very scientific. Hindu says, of course God must be there. First, God created elements one by one, like wind, heat and energy and solidity, one by one. After creating these elements, then plant life appeared. When the plant life started to develop, amoeba, the tiny creature, appeared. This is a gradual development. Later this amoeba transformed into some other forms of living being. So went on developing and developing and developing. When come into human form, God created the soul. Because in animals they don't believe that they have soul. Then the human beings appear. After that, the way how they use this life, direct them toward either this way or this way. As long as impurities remains in their soul, there is no salvation, according to Hinduism. When they go on purifying all the taint or the dirt they have added into the soul, one day when that soul is completely perfect, completely pure, then the Brahma, the Creator, absorb this soul into Brahma world. That is called union with the Brahma. That is their final salvation. Now others say, to be with Lord. When somebody dies, or they advertise in the newspaper also, so and so passed away, to be with Lord. This is the concept. But Buddhists never say, so and so died to be with the Buddha. I have never heard, because it doesn't work. So, This system, this belief, this concept, people maintain according to their respective religion. So the Buddhism says there is no such thing as soul. Then what is that? To be born again if there is no soul. That is what many people cannot understand. Buddhism says the word Atma or soul they have introduced due to lack of understanding of human consciousness. Even modern psychologists admit that. Their knowledge about the human mind is very, very little. Modern psychologists. In the Buddha's teaching, it is mentioned analytical interpretation of elements and mind. Mental analytical interpretation, I don't think that you can find in another religion. Because other religions need faith, belief, praying, worshipping. But they don't know to analyze the human mind. So the Buddha analyzed this mind into 5 faculties. The whole body into 5 faculties. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. 5. Rupa means physical body. In our physical body, there are 4 elements. This is the combinations of 4 elements. Solidity, fluidity, heat and motion or wind. Binding factors are there as life processes. But the body is not the life. This is the house. After our death, we cannot carry this to heaven or hell. But life process, mental process, karmic forces, combined with the cosmic energies, proceed. So they could not understand this at that time. Then we analyze the mind. There are 4 mental faculties: Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. First mental faculty is our feeling, our sensation. These sensations and feeling, animals also experience. Certain plant life also experience. Because when you touch, the leaves closed. Sensation, feeling. Then Sanya, recognition, identification, understanding that this is so and so, this is good, this is bad, this is cruel, this is very useful, all done by that particular mental faculty. Third one, Sankhara. All our mental activities. We have storehouse of consciousness. Modern psychologists introduced this as the storehouse of consciousness. In this storehouse of consciousness, all our good karmas and bad karmas, good deeds and bad deeds, reflected, deposited there. Occasionally, focus to our normal mind from the subconscious mind. Within this lifetime, we have accumulated so much mental energies, wholesome and unwholesome, in the storehouse of consciousness. And we have been spending so much energy that we have accumulated to lead this life. So that is more or less like battery. We recharge by adding some more and spend by running. Just like a battery of a motor car. By running, we charge the battery. And waste also, both. We spend, we charge. So our life is exactly like a battery. When we work, when we enjoy, when we suffer, we spend our energy, what we have accumulated, we recharge the battery again for our journey. We had to work towards our final goal. We are far away, far behind. That is called consciousness from the Buddhist point of view. Last one is Vijnana. Vijnana is more advanced than normal mind. When the mind catch object from outside through the five senses, when our sensations of feeling or recognition or mental formation contribute toward the mental energy again, when our imagination, mental concept contribute toward the mental energy, it will become consciousness, very rich. In that consciousness there are so many ingredients. When we are going to die from this world, when we are going to depart, that consciousness transmit from here. That transmission absorb again with the cooperations of cosmic energy and the element. Then another life will be originated. Not created by God, not created by the Buddha or anybody. Their own. Karmic energy, mental energy, craving, attachment, all these forces supported by the cosmic energy and the element. Another life will be originated. We cannot understand until we develop our understanding capacity. Through hypnotism, many people have found out that it is true. By developing some sort of spiritualism, some people have found out more than enough evidence to prove that it is true. This is the Buddhist point of view, the existence of life. So this is not neither beginning nor end, just like setting sun and rising sun. This will going on, continuing. The continuity of this life remain as long as craving for existence remain. We have very strong craving for existence. We have very strong craving for worldly pleasures. These mental energies support us to be here. We are bound to this world because of these binding factors, these energies. By leading a religious life, what we are trying to do? Cut off these bondages. So when we cut off these bondages, then we get the chance to go up higher and higher and higher and higher. Upward journey. Upward means spiritual way. Then the life becomes more meaningful, more noble, more respectable, become harmless, later find out the salvation. I think it's better to stop here. Why not we allow our friends to ask some questions? Yes. I'd like to use the mic.
Let me then, on behalf of this group coming from the far north country, Sweden, express our gratitude to your lesson and to what you have given us concerning your faith, your way of living, and how you want to live the life given to you here on this earth.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much for this.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your understanding. Anyway, let us bless our friends. Blessing is blessing, whether you are Christians or Buddhists or Hindus. I remember when I was in St. Vincent Hospital in Sydney, for my bypass operation, a lady came with the Bible, but I was not wearing this robe in the hospital. She told me, tomorrow morning, that your operation will be conducted. This is a very serious operation, therefore you must be Holy Communion. I say, good, very good. Then started to pray and recite something and said the passage of Holy Bible. When she is completed, I said, Amen. Within few seconds, a group of students from New South Wales University, all are Chinese from Malaysia, came to see me. This lady also standing there. They came and kneeled down and paid respect according to their custom. This lady was watching. Then she whispered to one of these boys, who is this man? Then they said, he is our chief reverend from Malaysia. Oh my God, I never knew that. She came to me and apologized. Then I asked, why do you want to apologize? I really appreciate for what you have done for me. You have done with kind heart to help me, to support me. And I am a Buddhist. I am not a fanatic. Blessing is blessing. Whether it comes from Christians or Hindus or Muslims or Buddhists, or it comes from the heart. Blessing is blessing. There is no different kind of blessing, Christian blessing, Buddhist blessing, just like Christian kindness, Buddhist kindness, Muslim kindness. Kindness is kindness, not belong to any particular religion. In the same manner. So I am going to bless all of you for your good health, your peace and happiness, and safe journey, and hope to see you again.